Picture a world with no whispers, no lies, no hidden plans at all. For most of human history, that world was real. Every thought a creature had spilled instantly onto its face, its posture, its sound. There was nowhere to put a thought you didn't want seen. No vault in the mind, no locked room behind the eyes. Then, somewhere in deep prehistory, that changed. A new kind of animal learned to hide what it knew. And the moment it did, everything about being human shifted. The secret sounds simple, but it demands a strange kind of brain power. You need to know something. You need to know that others don't know it. And you need to want to keep it that way. Scientists call this ability theory of mind, modeling what's inside someone else's head. Without it, you can hide behind a rock, but you can't hide a thought. Chimpanzees show flashes of this skill, but only flashes. A chimp might fake a scream to distract a rival from stolen fruit. But building a long, patient, deliberate secret is a different order of thinking. It requires imagining a future where someone finds out and planning around it. That kind of foresight took millions of years to evolve. Before it existed, there was no such thing as a lie. Go back 3 million years to the earliest tool-using hominins on the African savanna. These early hominins lived almost entirely in the present tense. If a hominin found a carcass, its excitement gave it away instantly. Its calls, its posture, its rush toward the meat told the whole group everything. There was no way to freeze that information and keep it inside. Cooperation worked because nothing could be hidden, but so did vulnerability. Anyone could be read like an open book. By 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus was walking upright across 3 continents. They carved hand axes with real skill, passed down by watching and copying. But even this shared knowledge moved in the open, hand to hand, eye to eye. There's no evidence any of them ever hid a resource from their own group. Concealment simply wasn't part of the hominin toolkit yet. For nearly 2 million years, the mind stayed transparent. Every human ancestor lived exposed, thought by thought in real time. Then, slowly, something in the brain began to change. Brain scans of fossil skulls show the frontal lobes growing larger over time. That's the region tied to planning, self-control, and modeling other minds. Around 500,000 years ago, a new relative appeared in Europe and Asia, the Neanderthals. Neanderthals lived in tight, close-knit bands, hunting dangerous animals together. Their brains were, on average, as large as ours, sometimes larger. Archaeologists have found evidence they cared for the sick and buried their dead. Caring for another mind that deeply requires imagining what's inside it. And once you can imagine what's inside another mind, you can imagine misleading it. It's the same wiring, pointed in a darker direction. There's no proof Neanderthals lied to each other, but the hardware was arriving. Shanidar Cave, a Neanderthal group buried a companion with apparent care and ritual. That kind of shared symbolic act needed minds that understood each other deeply. Deep understanding is a doorway, and deception can walk through the same door. The tools for connection and the tools for concealment are cousins in the brain. Nature was quietly building a mind capable of both. The real turning point came with something even more powerful: language. Once humans could name things that weren't in front of them, everything changed. You could describe a herd of animals a day's walk away. You could also describe a herd that wasn't there at all. Language didn't just let humans share information, it let them fabricate it. For the first time, a thought could be sealed inside a skull and never spoken. Or it could be spoken falsely, on purpose, to steer another person's behavior. Some researchers believe this is why language evolved in the first place. Not just to cooperate, but to compete. A hunter could tell his group the animals had moved north, while quietly slipping south alone. If the story worked, he ate first, and no one ever knew why. This is the exact moment secrecy becomes possible. Information you control, and others don't. Before language, the mind had no locked drawer. After language, it had a whole vault, and only you held the key. Every alliance, every rivalry, every act of trust from this point forward carried a hidden layer underneath it. Homo sapiens had just invented something no animal on Earth had ever possessed. Proving a prehistoric lie is almost impossible. Thoughts don't fossilize, but behavior leaves traces, and those traces start appearing in the archaeological record. At Blombos Cave in South Africa, around 100,000 years ago, humans engraved patterns onto ochre. Some of these symbols may have marked ownership, a way of saying, this belongs to me, not the group. Ownership is one of the oldest possible secrets. I have more than I'm showing you. Around the same period, humans began hoarding rare materials far from their source. Sibudu Cave in southern Africa shows tools and resins kept in specific, separate spots. Separating a resource from common view is a physical act of secrecy. If you can hide an object, you're already halfway to hiding an intention. 70,000 years ago, humans were crafting complex compound tools using hidden recipes. Adhesives made from tree gum and ochre had to be mixed in exact, secret ratios. Whoever perfected that recipe held real power and had every reason not to share it. Passing that knowledge only to a chosen few turned information into currency. A recipe kept secret could mean better spears, better hunts, and higher status. Knowledge for the first time in history could be privately owned. Deep inside painted caves like Chauvet and Lascaux, this pattern becomes even clearer. The most stunning paintings sit not near the entrance, but hundreds of meters into total darkness. Reaching them required crawling through narrow tunnels with nothing but a flickering torch. That distance wasn't an accident, it was a filter. Only certain people were meant to see what was drawn on those walls. Archaeologists believe these deep chambers were used for restricted rituals, not daily life. An elder may have led a handful of chosen initiates into the dark, and no one else. What happened down there stayed down there, sealed by stone and silence. This is secrecy turned into architecture. A hidden room built for hidden knowledge. Small footprints found in some caves suggest children were sometimes brought into these rites. Whatever they were shown likely bound them to the group in a way outsiders could never share. A shared secret is one of the strongest social glues a species can invent. It says, you are inside, and everyone else is outside. That single idea, insider versus outsider, is the seed of every human hierarchy that followed. It was born in the dark, at the back of a cave, tens of thousands of years ago. Once secrets existed, groups needed a defense against them. That defense was gossip. Anthropologists call gossip humanity's original surveillance system. If someone hoarded meat or broke a promise, the story of it spread fast around the fire. Reputation became a currency almost as valuable as food itself. A person known as a hidden cheat could be frozen out of hunts, mates, and shelter. So secrecy and gossip evolved together, locked in the same arms race. The better people got at hiding things, the better others got at sniffing them out. This tension shaped how hunter-gatherer bands organized themselves for tens of thousands of years. Trust had to be earned, tested, and constantly rechecked. A whispered warning between two hunters could shift the balance of an entire camp. Small alliances began forming in secret, away from the wider group's eyes. Two hunters might quietly agree to share a kill and hide the surplus from the rest. That tiny act was, in essence, the first political deal in human history. A private agreement, made to benefit a few at the expense of the many. From here, secrecy stopped being an accident of cognition and became a strategy. Ambitious individuals learned to withhold information to gain influence over others. An elder might know where the best hunting grounds were and reveal them only to allies. That knowledge, kept close, could buy loyalty, favors, or protection. Historians and anthropologists see this as the true root of leadership itself. Not strength alone, but control over what other people got to know. Betrayal followed almost immediately behind secrecy, like a shadow. If information could be hidden for gain, it could also be hidden for harm. A hunter might learn a rival was planning to steal his mate or his territory. He could warn the group, or stay silent, and let his rival be ambushed unaware. Every one of those silent choices was a tiny act of power. Some bands likely splintered entirely over broken trust and buried secrets. Skeletal evidence from some prehistoric sites even shows signs of violence between close groups. Betrayal turned physical. The very same trait that let humans plan hunts and raise children together also let them plot against each other. There's no way to have one without risking the other. Secrecy and cooperation were never opposites. They were born from the exact same leap in the brain. That leap is arguably the true starting point of politics. Every council, every closed-door meeting, every just between us in human history traces back to this moment. The hunter learned to hold a thought behind his eyes and let his face say nothing. From that single skill grew alliances, hierarchies, and the entire machinery of human strategy. It also grew jealousy, exile, and betrayal, the darker twin of every alliance. We often think of secrecy as a flaw in human character, but it may be one of the sharpest tools evolution ever handed us. It let a fragile, slow, unarmed ape outthink and outmaneuver everything else on the savannah. And every secret you've ever kept is a direct descendant of that first hidden thought, buried in a mind that finally learned how to lie.